Welcome back to the Convo Couch, everyone. I am Pasta Jardula.
And I'm Fiorella.
And Johnny Sue is still spinning on those ones and twos. How you doing there, fam?
Good, fam.
How was the arrabbiata tonight?
It was okay. It was good. It needed a little salt.
My food always needs a little salt with you, but...
Yeah. I'm salty.
I mean, come on. The red sauce, though, was cooked with a lot of love. I used a little onion, a little garlic, a little nice San Marzano tomato. Johnny San Marzano, his new nickname right now after tonight. A little azúcar in there, salt, pepper, fresh basil.
Too much
Good
azúcar.
shrimps.
Too much azúcar.
Angel hair. Too much azúcar. Yeah, I did.
A little bit.
But I'm trying to
sweet.
cut the acidity because I don't want to have so much, bloatation in the house since we're on quarantine.
Jesus Christ.
Well, that's what happens. You got to get a little sugar, cut the acidity. It's really
all right,
good.
Johnny, we're cutting all this out.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we know it's a little bit late. We got a little quick show for you. Everybody was going on all day today.
Yeah.
So we had to kind of step aside. Fran was on with Nico today. How was that today?
Good. It was good, talking with a Tulsa Nico house, I'm just kidding, guys. I'm just kidding.
You Bernie Bros. If you haven't checked it out, ladies and gentlemen, go to our Convo Couch Twitter. Johnny just put up an awesome piece, a little small snippet of Katie Halpert's interview with Tara Reid.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to say today, fam, just kind of like summarizing what you guys went through today and what you talked about, what we're going through when it comes to this Biden thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's really sick the way they're handling it. Well, he didn't rape as many as Trump mentality is just disgusting.
Who cares when people are dying is what somebody else said too on Twitter. And I'm like, electing Joe Biden's going to make people stop dying?
Yeah. This is where we're at. Democratic Party. This is where we're at. At least Joe didn't rape as many people as Donald Trump. This is where we're at.
It's probably false, but it's beside the point.
Wow. Karen M. just said pasta with exclamations, totally. And Karen M. was our first person on today. We love you, Karen M. Thank you, Jesus, Stacy Lama, Rain Strong, Blues Waves. And if you aren't over on the ROKFIN, go on over, ROKFIN. Watch over there. We love you, fam. Let's talk about not Fredo, but Fugazi. The brothers, Fredo and Fugazi.
So I've been hearing a lot of people prop up Andrew Cuomo, including progressives. I've seen several on Twitter say, well, he's handling New York really well. They're buying the mainstream media propaganda that he's the guy. He's it, right? He's the one. And it's a lie. It's a lie primarily because we know that they're propping him up because maybe Joe Biden doesn't make it. I mean, you guys have seen Joe Biden. He can't keep his thoughts together. He doesn't look healthy. And so Andrew Cuomo came up, and the mainstream media, CNN, has been propping him up nonstop, all the time. And it's really unnerving because this guy right now, as New York, the United States, and the world are undergoing a huge pandemic, a huge crisis, he is cutting Medicaid. And we have to talk about this, Pasta, because this guy could be the one that the DNC puts in instead of Joe Biden.
Mm-hmm. And let me tell you something. I've had a piece of Andrew Cuomo's mozzarella. Very tough. Tough mozzarella. Nothing to really write home about. Just saying. Go ahead.
Bam. You're strange.
The mozzarella was tough.
So Andrew Cuomo, Jacobin did a really great article on it, and I have another video coming out where I touch a little bit more on what they said, but we're going to go really, really deep in here because this article pretty much calls out every single thing he's been doing. And as you know, Cynthia Nixon ran against Andrew Cuomo, and she did not get elected, unfortunately, but she was backed by Bernie Sanders and AOC and everybody else. So Andrew Cuomo has recently, according to the New York Times, attempted to cut Medicaid. Cuomo wants to convince you that he is this calm, competent leader that you need. And it's been so effective, Jacobin says, that you might miss that even in a pandemic, Cuomo is fighting to protect the rich and impose austerity, including devastating Medicaid cuts on everyone else. And there he is. There is little Cuomo. So he disbanded the Corruption Commission and he ran on creating when it began to investigate his allies. The man who made a host of videotape promises in exchange for the endorsement of the Working Families Party, only to turn around and break them all. He was also the man who secretly worked for years to ensure Republicans control the state Senate, protecting himself from the flack that would come with having to veto progressive legislation. So he promised to do a lot for progressives so he could get the Working Family Party's endorsement, which we know the Working Families Party has been kind of not the best at endorsing candidates, to say the least. They endorsed Elizabeth Warren, and they haven't really been on point. And then he decided that he was going to go back on everything he said. So he sounds more like an Elizabeth Warren than anything else. But it gets worse because Cuomo, he's the governor of the 1%. Here they said, quote, lest you thought he had turned a new leaf. Governor 1% is insisting on taking an axe to the state Medicaid budget, even at the cost of $6.7 billion in emergency federal aid, and lying about it. It is the most unequal state in the nation, but he is fighting to protect the rich and impose austerity on everyone else. Make no mistake, even in a pandemic, Andrew Cuomo is not your friend. And so I kind of want to explain that.
Wow.
Andrew Cuomo is rejecting the $6.7 billion in aid. And he's rejecting it because in order to cut Medicaid, he has to reject that. So it's unacceptable for him to accept that money if he's cutting Medicaid. And he's choosing to cut Medicaid instead of accepting that money.
Okay.
And right now we're in a crisis. New York has, I don't know how many, almost 60,000 people that are infected.
Yeah.
And he's saying, nope, it's more important to cut Medicaid than to accept this money.
Let me get this straight. I think if I remember correctly, to get this money from the government, you cannot make any cuts to Medicaid.
Correct.
So instead of taking the money from Trump, he's going to say, F you, Trump, I don't want your money because I'm going to cut Medicaid. Is that what he's attempting to do, or?
No, he wants to cut Medicaid because it's more convenient than than raising the taxes on the 1%.
Yeah,
so
I heard it was like a 1% tax,
yeah,
right?
Okay. Yeah, they could have done the taxes on the 1%, but he's refusing to do that instead. So let's continue because it gets worse as you kind of understand how he's doing this. He's framing it in a way that he's saying we need to cut Medicaid because that's going to help the American people. They continue in the article, but what's lost in the rush to praise Cuomo is that he and his coronavirus task force, now this is funny, his task force is headed by former high-ups at McAndrews and Forbes and the notorious Blackstone Group, whose corporate ties would have barred them from government service had Cuomo not used his emergency powers to lift revolving door laws, have shown callous indifference to the needs of New Yorkers' working class and most vulnerable citizens. So his task force that he is being so praised for and a lot, accolade thrown accolade for is made up of elites from Forbes, McAndrews, and the Blackstone. Plasta, who is Blackstone?
I thought that was a bad group. Doesn't it like a lot of Saudi investment money in that group or something? Or?
Anti-immigration.
Yeah, there's a ton of
they're
there's a
terrible.
lot of bad stuff about Blackstone.
Yeah, they wouldn't be allowed. That's the thing, but he managed to get them in. When asked how the average New Yorker can be expected to make rent amidst coronavirus's economic devastation, Cuomo claims he, quote, took care of the rent issue, but ignores the rent cancellation legislation that is currently supported by dozens of legislators. He uses the pandemic as a cover to roll back last year's bail reform laws that have reduced the state's prison population by thousands. He not only uses $2 per hour prison labor to rebottle hand sanitizer, but also refuses to release elderly and sick inmates from filthy, crowded jails like Rikers Island, which is why they're striking. So
civil liberties are under attack. Can you imagine getting arrested right now? Because now you get arrested, and there's no courts for you to get bailed out and let you get. So you get arrested, you get held, and now I heard there's talks about the Congress going actually to speak to the Supreme Court to see if they can hold people longer than allowed to because they don't have the courts to properly let them open.
Yep.
So like people in Rikers Island have already put in to say like let the older people go who are like they're not even the non-violent offenders. He will not let them go.
No, he won't. He won't let the elderly go. The elderly people that are of course high risk, that who aren't really serious hard crimes. He won't let them go. This is why these people are protesting. And on top of that, he's like a Kamala Harris here, using prison labor for nothing and putting these people at risk. It's disgusting. And of course, so far he has cut Medicaid, rejected medical aid from the government. He uses prison labor for hand sanitizer. He rolls back on the bail reforms and all the criminal reforms in general that New Yorkers want. He doesn't support the rent control that New Yorkers not only want now, but need. New
Mhm.
York was expensive before this pandemic. Imagine what it's going to be like now when people are being laid off and can't pay those $3,000 a month rents. So I don't see any sort of hero here thus far that they're
Bill
making.
Maher
this guy.
says he's a hero, and then he
Bill
also
Maher's
had a
an
nice
idiot.
moment with his brother Chris. You know,
Yeah, I hated that. When people were talking about that, I was like, why? Just send the meteor. And perhaps the most scandalous of all, he continues to push to meet a budget shortfall by enacting deep Medicaid cuts rather than passing the wildly popular, here it is, the tax increase on the 0.01%.
Yeah, I heard about this.
So even though this would require him to then turn down the billions in federal coronavirus aid to the states. So again, he would rather turn down those billions in aid so he can cut Medicaid instead of the tax on the 0.01%.
Yeah.
That's disgusting. That is exactly what we don't want
Uber rich.
in a president, let alone somebody as a governor.
Yep.
It's disgusting. And even as New York became a global epicenter of the pandemic, Cuomo's Medicaid redesign team, MRT, released its proposal to cut $2.5 billion from statewide Medicaid budget, including $400 million to hospitals as they battle coronavirus in the next year. Cuomo justifies the cuts as reining in and out of control Medicaid spending. So now he's cutting $6.5 billion, technically. 2.5 billion plus 400 million. So
$2.9 billion.
Yes.
Almost $3 billion.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, a little extra we left under the chair there over there with that. And I love the fact that the Roosevelt Institute Fellows note
Yeah.
spending is already under control.
So what makes this particularly awful is that this is coming in the middle of a pandemic, obviously, as we all know. And it's exposing the horrific consequences of the underfunded healthcare system in the state. Because if we had Medicare for all, we wouldn't really run into this problem. Decades of cuts to New York's healthcare services, many of them championed by Cuomo, have contributed to the present crisis. And in the press conference responding to Cuomo's budget proposals, Nurse Sarah Buckley recounted how even before the pandemic, hospitals were, quote, cut to the bone, so short-staffed that patients often had to lie in their own waste for hours before a nurse was available to change their clothes. And, of course, these cuts aren't going to be helping the people.
Fam,
I thought he was a good Italian, fam.
No, fam, I don't know what's wrong with you, though. You're being unfair, okay? The rich have rights, too. The 0.01%, just because it's a pandemic, don't they deserve the right to be protected, too?
No.
Cuomo's doing the right thing, okay? He's being fair across the board.
So, as Cuomo calls for retired health professionals to re-enlist and orders hospitals to expand by capacity by at least 50%. So he's making people go back to work who have already retired and is telling hospitals, you need to expand and staff people. That understaffing in the state's elimination of 20,000 hospital beds, which Cuomo has likely been the, quote, single most important person, unquote, in bringing about, according to Sean Petty of the New York State Nurses Association, are major limits on New York's response to the pandemic. So his actions prior are also causing New York to be a bigger crisis than what it would have been had he not been such an Ebenezer Scrooge. At times like this, and even in normal times, we don't have the resources we need to keep people alive. And there's a video here from Democracy Now! That we can play. Yeah, it's in the folder below the picture. Below the
Alive. Oh, we passed it. There it is.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask Sean, going back to this issue of hospital capacity, over the last few decades, and certainly during the period that Governor Cuomo has been in office, the number of beds available per patient in the United States and many states has declined dramatically, mostly because hospital managers see empty beds as not money-making, so they want to reduce the number of empty beds as much as possible, so they staff fewer and fewer beds. Could you talk about these past policies, and now with this sudden crisis, how the chickens have come home to roost in terms of this maximum bottom line for hospitals?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would just add that it's not just hospital managers. It's actually, all of the people who are making political and economic decisions around public health in the city and the state. So, for instance, I would call Governor Cuomo probably the single most important person in terms of the drive to close down hospital beds in this state over the last 20 years. In New York State, we've gone from 73,000 beds to 53,000 beds from the year 2000 to the present time. So specifically because of policies that Governor Cuomo has pursued, we are now 20,000 beds behind where we need to be in terms of trying to scale up our capacity to these unprecedented levels. Governor Cuomo estimates, I think this week, that we need 140,000 hospital beds to have enough capacity to treat patients that need oxygenation and hospitalization during this crisis. So we're starting at 53,000 instead of 73,000 to scale up to this, to scale up to the need that is being estimated.
So you heard it straight from his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Because of Cuomo's actions and of course policies that preceded him, the neoliberal policies, New York was already behind to begin with, and that's why you're seeing the most cases. You're seeing them be extremely affected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say, on the floor the other day with AOC, before she started off, like 8 people had died in Queens the night before, and she just, that was the first thing she out of her 1 minute, she left her first 20 seconds to go and talk about that, how they they don't have enough equipment, they don't have the masks, they don't have the gowns and all these poor areas, the gloves, the respirators, the beds, and people are dying because of it. So I mean, it really is a shame. This is New York, right?
Yeah.
Supposed to be the epicenter, but
yeah, that's why you have a Gabon in charge.
He is a Gabon for money.
MRT's proposed cuts, so these cuts that he's trying to do rely heavily on increasing local government's contribution towards Medicaid expenditures. This is tantamount to cutting services. Michael Kink of Strong Economy for All Coalition said, Cuomo has mandated that real property tax rates either decrease or remain flat each year. Counties can thus pay for extra costs only by increasing the sales tax. In other words, making poor people pay more for their groceries rather than billionaires for their yachts, as Kink put it, or by cutting either health care or other public services, schools, higher education, homeless and housing programs, transportation, public sector jobs. If the cost shifts go through, Kink said, all these services would see savage cuts. So again, instead of charging the 0.01%, he is cutting social safety nets, services, and of course, making poor people pay more.
Yeah. And you better believe that their elections are so friggin' rigged over there too.
So a lot of the advocacy groups and unions are obviously against this plan, and their hashtag is Make Billionaires Pay. And this agenda has 14 different measures to tax wealthy New Yorkers, including taxes on billionaires' wealth, stock buybacks, stock transfers, yachts, and private jets. This would reverse Cuomo's tax breaks on these last items. Passing just one or two of these measures could immediately close the budget gap. The whole package, which has significant support in the legislature, would provide upwards about $30 billion in new revenue, and the measures poll extremely well, garnering the approval of 90% of New York voters, including 87% of Republicans and 91% of suburban and upstate voters. So he's going against the will of the people. Yeah. Like he's literally saying, nope, sorry, I'm not listening to you. I'm going to do what I want and what I think.
Because those are the people who pay for his campaign. They haven't paid for his seat. Exactly. And I'm really sorry to just talk about, those elections are rigged too, because when you start hearing these things and you see these things right in front of you, you immediately say, what's the call to action? Okay, we got to get somebody else in play. Yep. We have that person, I think, in Cynthia Nixon. Hope she runs again. Yep. I wasn't even a fan of, what was that show?
That Sex and the City?
Yes.
Oh, come on.
But I mean, I can go back and watch it again too.
Damn. Yeah, you're gonna have to watch it.
But anyways, I mean, I think we do have that person, right?
Yeah.
And you immediately think, okay, well, we got to get this person out. We have to obviously, when the people, almost 91% of suburban voters and 87% of Republicans are okay with this, but he still won't go along with that because of his rich donor friends. You got to think that he's, on the chopping block to lose, but he had a huge amount of votes last time. So I don't know what to do. And I immediately think, how do we vote these people out? Cuomo is one of those people who has to go.
He's got to be primary.
He's got to go. We need to get lawyers out there. Cynthia Nixon's got to run because this is just disgusting right now. They have 53,000 beds. They need 143,000.
Yeah.
They are 90,000 beds short.
Exactly. And this is directly the result of his actions.
And his mozzarella is tough.
And so he continues to press cuts to Medicaid and other services, pandemic be damned, rather than make billionaires pay. His choice is, quote, incomprehensible to me and my coworkers. Buckley said, that was a nurse, who pack up our clothes when we go to work, knowing we might be there for 16 to 24 hours. And that we, perhaps the explanation has something to do with the fact that over half of New York's billionaires on last year's Forbes 400 list have contributed to Cuomo's campaign. And it always,
the oligarch candidate.
always goes back to where is this money coming from? Who is paying him? Who is supporting him? Always follow the money.
Half.
Bottom line, half. That's
200 of the
200. Weren't we complaining about Pete Buttigieg's billionaires and Joe Biden's billionaires?
Yeah.
This guy's got more than both of them combined.
I wish he was on the stage that time when Bernie lit him up.
You have
41. You have 290 billionaires.
200 billionaires.
Governor 1% never fails to live up to his moniker, even in a pandemic. What makes these cuts a new low, even for him, though, is that he indicates he'll go forward with them, even at the cost of the $6.7 billion in federal aid.
Exactly. He doesn't care. He doesn't care.
Listen. When you're talking about one New York asshole, you gotta get the other New York asshole in there. Please go right ahead.
On March 18th, Chuck Schumer issued a triumphant press release claiming credit for the delivery of more than $6 billion in federal emergency funding to his home state, more than any other state. The Families First Coronavirus Response Act, FFCRA, he helped negotiate, which was baloney, included a provision that increased the federal government's contribution to Medicaid expenditures by 6.2%. But even though it was baloney, New York usually contributed half of the cost, but now only had to pay 43.8%, saving $6.7 billion. You'd think that Cuomo, who has repeatedly blasted the federal government for not directing enough coronavirus relief money to New York, would eagerly claim the aid. But the FFCRA included a provision to prevent states from using the extra money to simply offset their own Medicaid expenditures. The aid comes on the condition that New York not cut Medicaid, exactly what Cuomo is so determined to do so.
Aww.
Again, the state gets no aid because Cuomo wants to
You
continue
can't
to cut
tell me
the
what
Medicaid.
to do with my money. You can't. I can do whatever I want with my money. Give me my money and I want to do what I do. It's such bullshit. I mean, really, you want to talk about a fucking ego trip right now. And that's why you got douchebags like Bill Maher about this guy for president. Yeah. Oh, because he could stand up to Mr. Trump.
Yeah.
This shit.
This is a neoliberal mindset. This is what This is what they do.
Sorry for cursing, Mom.
No. Oh.
Go.
Shut up. Governor Cuomo told millions of viewers that, quote, because of the technical issue in the way the bill was written, New York State does not qualify for aid. That's over $6 billion. That is a lot of money. And we need the federal delegation to fix that bill. Otherwise, New York State gets nothing. So he's framing it. And I've heard that before. You know where I heard that before? Anthony Rendon, Medicare for All here, SB 568. That's literally, they said the bill isn't a good bill. It has problems. We just need to push it away. Why? Because they don't want to give you Medicare for All. They don't want to give you what you need because their owners, their donors won't allow them. Yeah.
And that's the Assembly and the Senate passed it. And this schmucks go, well, it doesn't have a really proper payment mechanism, So he shelves the bill.
He shelved the bill.
And that's what this language is like.
Exactly what it is.
They got the same book, fam. They got the same playbook.
This was and remains a bold-faced lie. The supposed, quote, technical issue Cuomo referred to was, in fact, a deliberate provision to prevent state Medicaid cuts. Right. So New York does qualify for the money. All it would take to receive it would be to withdraw the MRT's proposal cuts from the March 31st budget. So again, he's framing it around so people think that they're not being bamboozled, even though they're being bamboozled. Cuomo indicated that he was unwilling to do so, continuing to emphasize the need for Medicaid, quote, reforms in the following days, insisting on Thursday that, quote, they never fixed that Families First bill, and ominously warning that everyone is going to have to deal with the reality. I can't protect them from that reality. So now he's washing his hands, saying, I'm sorry, it's somebody else's fault, not my fault. Just to finish it off, take a minute to appreciate just how cruel and coarse the course that Cuomo is taking. It would mean ramming through $2.5 billion in cuts to the healthcare system that millions of the hardest hit New Yorkers are relying on, plus, right, depriving the system of the nearly $7 billion in federal aid. So do the math. That's $9.5 billion that he's depriving the state of New York right now during a pandemic when New York is the most hit state. I mean, we have what, like 6,000 affected people so far? It's probably higher than that. New York has 60,000.
Yep.
I mean, it's bad. It's really bad over there.
You know what I'll be doing tonight, fam? I'll be going through my Twitter, looking through and see who's going after Cuomo. We hashtagging Cuomo. I bet, you know what I'm saying? I want to see what AOC has got to say about Cuomo. Cynthia Nixon got to say about Cuomo. I bet you Chuck Schumer's...
AOC backed Cynthia Nixon last time, so...
Yeah, I got to see what they're saying, whatnot. Who's calling these people out, you know what I'm saying? It's And once again, fam, not only is his mozzarella tough, guess who was in the Epstein Black Book?
Mr. Cuomo.
You got it!
Oh.
Never forget. And
really?
His brother, too. Oh, yeah. Come on.
I mean, I didn't want to make an assumption that all
Come
Italians,
on. I think in the logs, I think have
in
Cuomo
the
was on a
logs.
couple planes a couple times over there. Because, I heard, he's got tough mozzarella. So.
Fam.
Oh. Super chats?
Yes.
Ruth P. I wish I had more to give, but thanks for all that you do.
Thank you, Ruth.
Thank you, too. And don't worry, when the check comes, the stimulus check, then you can hook us up.
Yeah, I'm sure, right? Big check.
We got nothing. I mean, we got something, but we got crumbs compared to what they gave the big guys.
Yeah.
We got crumbs. I don't want to get into it, but thank you very much for the super chat contribution. 141 people, fam. It's always appreciated on the couch. And a two spot on the ROKFIN, ROKFIN. Go over, sign up, join up, do it. It's fun. All the kids are doing it.
Yeah, fam.
So what do we got next? Your other friend.
So, we've talked here about the failures of the Bernie Sanders campaign. We've talked here very frankly, you guys know I'm a Bernie supporter. You guys know that I love Bernie, that I love, I've been in love with Bernie since 2015. It's been 5 years. But I have my criticisms of his campaign, and I have made that very clear. And this time around, his campaign has definitely not learned from their mistakes in 2016. Actually, pretty much made them worse in a lot of ways. One of those ways was by hiring certain people that are establishment, one, and keeping around surrogates that don't really stand with Bernie's base, the people who are fed up of this duopoly, the people who are sick and tired of being sick and tired, the people who feel like there's no point in voting for somebody like Joe Biden when he may be worse than Donald Trump. Here is Josh Fox, a Bernie surrogate, getting ratioed for advocating vote blue no matter who. And he's advocating this right now. He's advocating this at this very moment when Bernie Sanders is still in the race. And now, just so you guys know, they moved the primary to June, the New York primary, which is great. It buys us time. It buys us time to pretty much private message Grandpa Bernie saying, you need to buck up. You need to do this, and that. And a lot of people are doing it. A lot of my friends are doing it. They're angry at Grandpa. They're really pissed.
Johnny Graz. Look what the reply Johnny Graz.
Oh, yeah. We'll have to look at what
Johnny
Johnny Graz
said. Oh, my God.
said.
Johnny Graz.
So Josh Fox said, it's Josh Fox and fossil fuels. I'm a Bernie Sanders surrogate. You all know that. But anyone tweeting #NeverBiden is getting played. That's a pro-Trump troll tweet. Fight for Bernie Sanders with all your heart every moment, every day. But if he doesn't win, of course Biden. Duh, never Trump.
That's
okay,
such
so we're going to show this thread. Okay, who we have oh, and then he's saying anybody that responds to him, and watch the trolls howl below. Pay GOP Trump trolls.
Is he really talking like this?
He is really talking like this.
I mean, oh my God. Wasn't he spewing Russiagate bullshit too, fam?
He was. So let's go over this. So Maria Estrada Guerrera said, so you were a vote blue no matter who all along? You could have saved us all a lot of time and just said up front you weren't about the movement and we're going to fall in line all along. Ooh, Maria.
Thank you.
Plain old Johnny Graz.
What does he say?
More evidence Bernie needs to seriously revise his screening process.
Give me a like.
745. Go Johnny Graz.
Johnny Graz.
Grumpy Bernie Sanders is really grumpy lately.
He is.
Democrat Party cultist and preservationist. Vote blue no matter who cultist, aka controlled opposition. So these are some of the tweets from Josh Fox that he gathered, right? So he said, this was in 2017, remember? This is the first time people were like, this guy. The fact that so many people here are mad at me for saying this shows that there was a real migration from Bernie to Jill in the last election. That was a factor. You guys helped Trump get elected, and that is bad strategy for the planet. Okay. So.
Well, he's got 69 likes, which is really good for him, right? And 304. What about, that's ratioed, see, fam?
Yeah, look at that.
Boom.
That's ratioed.
Okay, Boomer.
Okay, Boomer.
Josh Fox has always been an asshole. He's been a little bit of a tool. I hope that Susan Sarandon really doesn't hang out with him anymore because...
I hope so. I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? But
He
he had a good cause. I mean, and the whole thing is, why would you hate Trump more than you hate... why would you hate Trump more than Biden? When you were there, at Standing Rock, and, when you were screaming out to the administration, Joe Biden didn't say dick. He didn't come to your rescue.
Yeah.
Obama said, we'll see how it plays out. They ignored you at one of the biggest moments that made you Mr. Fox, and now you want to just forget about that and go Biden, duh. No, you're an idiot.
Well, and this is isn't even about him as much as just the reaction that is very much accusatory if you disagree with him. Oh, you must be a Trump troll. You must be
it's like he's 7.
Russia. Yeah. So, and he hates Jill
12,
Stein and the
maybe,
Green Party. I mean, I feel like a certain way that the Green Party isn't organized enough, and that's fine. But there was no reason to blame Bernie supporters. I mean, just like the neoliberals were blaming them, that they helped elect Trump. There was no evidence to support that. And again, it didn't work. The majority of Bernie supporters voted for freaking Hillary Clinton. There's one right here. And the general.
Why gotta
why
you gotta bring up bullshit?
Because, but that's not going to happen again this time. We're not going to do the same thing as we did. We're more angry. We're more poor. We have way more to lose this time. And we just, at a certain point, it's like, fuck it, burn it down. That's where we're at.
Mother Teresa can ask me to vote for Joe Biden. It ain't happening.
It's
Sorry,
not happening.
fam.
Molly, my dog, can ask me to vote for
and
Joe Biden.
I got high respect for Molly.
Yeah.
And
I won't do it even
the
for
Pope
Molly.
Ain't happening.
No.
Nobody.
I want to make it clear that no matter how much the Green Party tries to co-opt the message of the fracking movement,
asshole.
I will never support them at the presidential level. They should have dropped out in swing states in 2000 and 2016. The terrible strategy gave us Bush and Trump. So here's the thing. We're blaming the Green Party for election rigging, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing that out there. Because if you're not addressing our elections lacking integrity and the election rigging, and you're blaming a third party for it, you are part of the problem. You are part of the issue right now, because you are pretty much being a nice little cog in the machine for the establishment, and and that's what you're doing.
And the fact that they're trying to co-opt the message of the fracking, dummy, they started the movement, dude. The Green Party was the one who started all this beautiful, climate change. Stuff. I mean, a long time ago they started this stuff. Way, way, way before the Democrats got it. In fact, the Democrats had to kind of adopt their policies when it came to global climate change.
And the last thing that he said about this in 2017 was, "Dear Green Party, U.S., organize locally and you have my support. But running egomaniac millionaire presidential spoiler candidates is bad strategy and will get you nowhere, my friends. # Jill Stein." So he had this really strong hatred for Jill Stein, and it's kind of weird to me, because Jill Stein she was so pro-environment, she was anti-fracking, and there was this lie that was saying that she took oil money, and she didn't. They were trying to frame her like she took oil money, and she didn't. And so that's where that sort of hatred comes from. And the bottom line, I want to talk about this when, when we're talking about people like Josh. He's a Bernie surrogate. First of all, he shouldn't even be posing the idea of Joe Biden at all. And I've seen way too many of them do that. And like John Graziano said, it draws attention to who's picking these people to be surrogates, right? It's these people that have blue check marks that are like these elitists. Those people should not be Bernie surrogates. The people, the grassroots, if you want to make them all surrogates, you make the people who are working hard to elect Bernie. Melissa Michelson over there, still working hard, making phone calls. Those people are the ones that should be Bernie surrogates, not freaking people like Josh Fox who are going to capitulate to the establishment like this. And they're going to be down there telling people, vote blue, no matter who, it's fine. If Bernie doesn't get it, it's okay, you guys. We got to unite. We got to unite behind rapist Joe Biden. Yeah. I want them to say that. Yeah. Like, I want them all to say that, including Bernie.
You talking about a surrogate?
We got to unite behind rapey Joe Biden. Yeah. You say that to my face, I'll...
Surrogates like Zephyr Teachout that you kind of shun, Bernie, for going after Joe Biden. Those are the things that's just crazy when you think about it. Those are the people you want to surround yourself with, not these assholes over here. I know a lot of people who even pissed off, they talk about Josh Fox, and other people said like Sarah Silverman, bringing those people back, having people like Linda Sarsour out there. You just need to rid yourself of all these people. Well, I mean,
but that's the thing. It's like
Jesus.
It's like that's part of the problem with the whole campaign. It's had a more like establishment, like centrist feel
Screening
instead of
process,
like
the
independent, like, yeah, we're gonna burn down the party. And guess what? We're all at, if you look through these replies, we're here like burning down the party. We're absolutely here to burn down the party. We're not here to play anymore. And look at all these replies. There's a Maria Guido. Don't call yourself my fucking ally then. I mean it's just people are angry.
Maria Guido?
Yeah.
Is that her name?
Yeah. Her name is Comrade Slim Thick. Shout out to Maria Guido. I just like her last name. And it's just ridiculous. I mean, I think both Bernie Sanders, the Democratic Party, and any of these people that think we're going to vote for Joe Biden, or that they're blaming us and they're like using us as hostage, like, oh, you're going to get Trump. You guys, you've already done this before, and some people fell for it, and they fucking voted for Hillary Clinton. And guess what? It didn't matter. She still lost. The same thing's gonna happen. We're not voting for Joe Biden, especially now that he hasn't said a word about Tara Reid.
Yeah.
Not one freaking word. Not one.
So funny because you're talking about that. Come on, you're going to vote for Joe Biden if he's the nominee. Come on. The one person I already had that conversation with, right, Johnny? How pissed off I got. I was like, oh, my God. I got so annoyed. It's like sense memory hit him from what happened in 2016. And I'm like, whoa, this is never going to work again. Because I do remember that vote for Hillary Clinton, how much it stung. And it's just, I don't know why they're going to try to double down on stupid. It didn't work the first time, but that proves that they don't care. They really don't want to win. They want Trump to win. They accomplished their number one goal, the Democrats, and that was to make sure that Bernie Sanders was not ahead in this race right now.
And I just want to mention a story that I mentioned on Nico's channel this morning. I was hanging out with Melissa, and she ran into one of her friends who was a Bernie supporter, but like a light burners. And we call them like a light burners.
Bernie
like,
light?
Ashley calls them a soft burner. And he had been Bernie, and then he's like, yeah, well, now we got to rally behind Joe. And she's like, I'm not voting for Joe Biden and da-da-da-da. And he's like, I was like, wait a minute. Have you heard about Tara Reid and how Joe Biden sexually assaulted her? And he was like, oh, yeah, that's just the Trump Republicans making up stories about Joe, because now that he's at the top, they're going to throw everything at him. So now they're deluding themselves to saying that this is, he mentioned Russia, too. This is like Russia. And some guy that works at somewhere where Melissa used to like work on. Yeah, it's bad. I was hearing this before my eyes. Obviously, this person, though, was probably in their 60s.
Was this the same 60s group I was into? Johnny, remember I told you I went to that group that night? I went to see Greg Palast. And after I started talking to him, they already started opening up they were opening up the forum. They opened up the room to say, you got to vote for Joe Biden. I said, are you kidding me? I said, he goes, you're not going to vote for Joe Biden? I'm like, you got a better chance of getting pregnant, pal. I ain't voting for Joe Biden. You know, I always like when I can use that joke too.
It's because they watch fucking mainstream media, CNN.
Yeah.
But these were Bernie people. They were the older Bernie people.
They were the older Bernie people.
Bernie lights.
The Bernie,
yeah.
The small flames.
I mean, I'm sorry, you guys. Oh, and then he goes, oh, yeah, but you're going to help Trump get elected. And we're like, well, I had to like drag her out because we were going to get in an argument in the middle of like a park.
Can we read a couple super chats?
Sure.
Thanks for being on at a time for the night timers. No problem, Snorky Y2K. Thank you for the super chat contribution. It's always appreciated on the couch.
Wait, Y2K, I remember that was made into a big deal and nothing happened. And then this is much worse.
Thank you for the super chat contribution. It's always appreciated on the couch for the Jimmy Dore Show. Josh Fox is a tool, plain and simple. He's a company man. He's a lazy thinker. Plus, he looks like a turtle. Should I do it? Should I say it like Jimmy?
Yeah.
Josh Fox is a tool, plain and simple. He's a company man, lazy thinker. Plus, he looks like a turtle. Ah! Okay, that was my mini.
Hey, Jimmy, good singing today. I wish Pasta sang as good. When he sings, he sounds like a dying cat.
Quando?
Yeah.
Jesus, man. Golden Sun says it's time for the Yellow Hats and Vest Wake Party. Burn.
I agree with the yellow hats. There's my friend is selling Bernie or vest, yellow vest, in case some of you guys want some. I think we were gonna need those, fam. Well, we just had a short show today because we're gonna go into deeper subjects tomorrow.
Got a lot of shit going on.
Yeah, we got a lot of things going on, and yeah, fams. Anything new, Johnny? Yep.
So, remember the night of the election, or like the night before, and he had the press release. Dean Logan put the press release out, and we went to the East LA polling location.
Yes.
And we saw Nathaniel.
No, we saw. I'm not voting blue, Jimmy.
What's his name?
Stop.
What's his name?
Not voting blue. You're talking about we saw
Vote
Matt.
blue no matter who raped you.
Matt.
Yeah, he did. He's
Matt, you saw in Iowa.
Matt.
Yeah.
He's the Democratic Socialist. He did the Democratic Socialist.
He's a DSA. He had his own progressive.
I think he owns the Future Left on Instagram. He messaged me. He said, so David Ryu,
David Ryu,
council member for District 4. He apparently yesterday there was an 11-hour council meeting on the coronavirus pandemic. And what he was trying to push was a freeze on rent.
Yes, he was, but they didn't let him.
Yes, because the what was it? It was the city attorney's office blocked it.
Yep.
So they reached out to me to say that we need to encourage people to call their council members. Are they going to listen? But I mean, I don't know.
So if you guys are in California, I would encourage you to call your council members. I know Mel and two activists here, Mel Tillicratney and Carlos Marroquin, mentioned it. If you can, because what they did was pretty much do like a super delegate move. Like, it was approved by the majority, and then one guy says no, boom, they call the city attorney, flash it out. And guess what? People are literally going to be evicted now. There's people that we know, activists, that are working hard to talk to people to stop this from happening. But the reality is it's looking pretty bad. It's looking pretty bad.
I ain't paying my rent. I'm holding on to my money for food. Not doing it. No way. No way. Oz LaFave, my sister Fiorella, and my brother Pasta. I have one thing to say to Fox, Tulsi, and even Bernie. Jean Harlow once said, when you lie down with dogs, you get up with fleas. Never forget. Thank you, Oz. Land of Oz in Washington. You haven't checked out his stuff. He's one of the Bernie crats up there. Jimmy Dore Show, thank you again. If you don't vote blue, you're helping Trump. A turtle told me that. Rent strike, mortgage strike, let's do it. And he paid $2 for the correction. You are. Jimmy, we made it without the thing. I think that there's a Josh Fox Jimmy tweet, too, as well.
Oh, is it? I missed that one. I missed that one.
Yeah,
I want to know
once again,
what's the tea on that?
He's such an asshole, this fucking guy.
Okay, so just backstory here. Pasta, I don't know if Pasta was involved, but I was pretty supportive of Josh when he came here and he did his film. We went to see it. I forget what it was called.
I didn't go to see it.
Oh, I went to see it. Several of my friends, helped organize the event and stuff. And he made it very clear that he was not a fan of the Green Party and Jill Stein and all that. And he put it in his monologue thing. It was like a one-man show where he was doing a monologue, and he put it in there. And everything was sounding good. Like, oh, yeah, this guy's pro, environment, anti-fracking. All of a sudden, he starts talking about how Jill Stein helped the fracking industry and how she was seen with Putin. And I was like, oh, you just ruined it right here. You just ruined it. I loved everything you said. And all of my environmentalist friends who are activists are like, we love him as an environmentalist. But when it comes to this shit, he's done this time and time again. This isn't the first time. He did it 4 years ago. He's not going to change. And I don't want to make it about him. It's not about him. It's about people in the Bernie Sanders campaign who are like this, who constantly like, Melissa just showed me a memo of what happened the day that, the day before when they had a phone call 30 minutes right before the March 3rd primary, and how they were like, oh, let's not make a big deal about provisional ballots. We don't want to scare people away. And that was the whole attitude that we had to fight when we were telling people, you're going to get a provisional ballot. We were screaming, you're going to get a provisional ballot. And then, of course, the day of is when they started acting. And it's really unfortunate because, again, you have to listen to the grassroots. You have to listen to the people. You have to get out of this echo chamber of consultants that tell you how to be when that's not where the people are at. The people are ready to burn it down. We're ready to absolutely burn it the fuck down. We're not doing this anymore.
Yeah,
we're done.
Well, it's even more scary to, back those words. And people thought it was so easy about the provisional ballots. Color me shocked. We saw them that night. Yeah. And then when we had to go up into the room and saw just a room of all these ballots that will never be counted.
Yeah,
will just be
where your vote goes to die.
There is, the First Amendment out the fucking window. Goodbye. Jimmy Dore says Italians started raiding food stores because they have no money. Military is now guarding supermarkets in Sicily. No, Jimmy, that place had the best mozzarella and had the best prosciutto, and that's why they had a very limited source. So they were guarding the mozzarella and the prosciutto. That's what I heard.
We saved Jimmy some shrimp arrabbiata.
Yes.
So.
I'm going to go to Roma's tomorrow. I don't know, it's like, I know there's some of you guys are vegetarians and stuff, but I'm going to give me a nice, spicy Roma sandwich and stuff like that.
Where's Ron? Salami.
Ronnie Salami. Johnny, you have that tweet up there? Yeah. Okay. Speaking about this douchebag, Josh Fox again.
Jesus.
Ooh, I'm sorry, Mom.
Mind your manners.
Mom, I didn't mean to curse again.
Mind your manners. Tell me quando.
Activists who push Russiagate are probably paid infiltrators. Josh Fox is probably on someone's payroll. Vote blue. Thank you for the super chat contribution. He said that $5 trillion pandemic bill would have been a good time to make a stand on something like this. But I understand that we couldn't demand anything from a few crumbs while Pelosi and Schumer were giving away the entire country to Trump and their corporate criminal cowards. Overlords. I'm so sorry. I'm reading it from a distance. And that's true. And then Josh Fox comes with, first you attack me, then Birdie. Dude, you're a comedian, and you're not funny. Maybe focus on that first. Your jokes and opinions aren't worth bailing out, dude. Dude, you got 31 likes on you, Jimmy. Ba-bam.
You're not funny.
You're funny, dude.
Jimmy, you're totally funny.
Not
what
funny.
The hell? I'm offended by that. You're not funny. How dare he say the jagoff comedian isn't funny?
Oh,
I mean, at the very least. At the very least.
That bill was so disgusting. I had to watch that thing on that floor, that House floor, for 4 hours plus. Just total kabuki theater.
Yeah.
Just
We're going to go deeper into that, you guys, because
God.
It's disgusting.
Ilhan Omar, poo.
By the way, did you know Dylan Radican posted a tweet today pointing out that the $1,200 we're going to get is basically a tax, like a fast forward tax.
Pay taxes on
you got to pay taxes on it. So you're pretty much giving yourself a loan that you're going to pay back later. I mean, really, it's all bread and circus.
No, and the way they got to sell this too, everybody is just like so myopic, you know what I'm saying? They're all in on a Congress, you know what I'm saying? They always talk about the good things in the bill. Oh, how it gets that money to you right away. How, it's going to do this for hospitals, for the grocery bag people. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get those benefits and stuff. But, it's going to really cause, what did it do in 2008? It eventually threw people out of their houses, and the banks consolidated all that wealth and took all those properties back. And nobody went to jail. It was just like The Big Short. You haven't seen it. Nobody got charged. Nobody went to jail.
You know what? You were saying you wanted to watch that movie. I want to watch it again because I think we need a reminder. We should just play it. We should just play it everywhere.
Yeah.
Because people forgot.
Yeah.
And I've been alive through 2 of those, of these bailouts now.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
No, and they got all the goodies in there. The defense contractors get theirs. Amazon, Google, they get theirs. $500 billion to the top corporations and $500 billion to the rest of us. That's what they get. So another handful of people get as much as everybody, all the other citizens above the age of 18 in the United States, plus all the students. What do they get, Johnny? They get nothing, okay? Nothing. You can't even have a job no more on campus because the campuses are closed. You don't get any money for your if you live off campus, right?
Yeah.
You're not eligible to collect that money, right, Johnny? It's terrible. It's disgusting. Check it out. College students don't qualify for a $1,200 check if they're claimed as dependents, which most of them are.
Mm-hmm.
They don't qualify for the $500 because they're over the age of 18. They don't get a tuition refund. They don't get rent forgiveness if they're off-campus housing. They don't get to keep on-campus jobs. They don't get student loan forgivenesses. What do they get?
You're pretty much, we've created a generation, right? The millennial generation who went to college is now still like in $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $100,000 in debt. And now you're having the next generation, the Gen Zs, also get college debt at that level, if not worse. That you're creating a society of enslaved people. And I don't mean to dismiss the plight of African Americans and slavery. I mean, this is a form of as an indentured servant. You're basically that. That's what we are. It's a feudal system, and we just basically work to live. We live to work. I mean, we live to work entirely. Yeah. We just always behind. And the fact that they're making such a big deal that some people might get a little bit more money because of the unemployment thing, which we don't know when it's going to come in. If we don't know, I don't trust anything. Yeah. Is disgusting. Just what a few $100 that is pocket change for all these people.
Yeah. The only thing they did do, Trump said, is that he delayed student loan payments, and I actually checked mine now, and that actually is true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until May or something. I don't know.
Well, that's
Johnny, I'm not going to break your thumb. I'm only going to break your pinky, okay?
Yeah, right.
Speaking of Cuomo, Fugazi. Oh, my God.
Man.
Well, listen, I can talk about this all day. Don't get me started talking about this money that was just,
Yeah.
I mean, this is the second one. This is worse than fucking TARP, what they did with this shit.
That's what Tina was saying. We were talking, this is worse than TARP. Yeah,
This is worse than TARP.
We have to continue talking about this, you guys. We have to continue breaking it down, talking about what that means. 800 pages. We have to break that whole thing down. And that's the reality. Pasta's been watching stuff, the house the house floor for hours. And we just have to break it down. We have to understand this so we don't allow it to happen. And I agree with a lot of people pissed at everybody, including Bernie. Like, I agree they should have done something. But I also feel like we live in an oligarchy, you guys. Until we get rid of this oligarchy, they have all the power to do this. It requires us to stand up and do something. And I'm with all the people right now striking, the prisoners and Rikers, the people who aren't paying rent. I'm with the workers, the sanitation workers who want to get hazard pay. We need to push that. We need to amplify that because that is so important during this time when, if anything, this pandemic has radicalized people to realize, hey, these two are really, really bad. The left and the right are horrible. They're awful. They're not with the American people. And I think even if you're not in politics, you're starting to see we're not getting anything. This sucks. Look at what Venezuela's getting. Look what Sweden is getting. Look what Cuba is getting. I mean, look at these socialist communist countries that are so bad. Look how they're treating their people, the most vulnerable, the poorest. And then look at us. We have the highest rate of infection in the entire world, and it's only going to get worse from here. And we have a president that is telling people he's going to just, get rid of the quarantine and it's going to be fine.
We haven't even got into the civil liberties talks. I need to go out with the extending of the Patriot Act. Remember, we can't go out and have a political meeting right now. We can't get in a room, 200 people. So the only way we're communicating is online through this way. Well, guess what? With the Patriot Act, they got it all. They got it all.
They're pushing these things through because everybody's so focused on coronavirus, understandably so. But they know this and they use this to their own merit. They're manipulating people now.
You want to read this Rainith super chat? On the Cuomo issue, past Medicaid cuts and insurance companies denying claims, he left the rural hospital I work at in millions in dollars of debt. More cuts and this pandemic could shut down the biggest employer in my area.
But he looks so presidential.
He does. Bill Maher says he's the good president. Super chat contribution for Jimmy D. We got that text. And here is that text. Show that, Johnny. What do you got over here? Hold the Dems accountable. If I could write this funny, I'd be famous. What does it say? I don't agree. This platform is meaningless. It's a document we can use to hold the Dems accountable in the future. This part of the deal, too. That's a part of the deal, too.
So a lot of people are going after Jimmy for pretty much criticizing Bernie and just having an opinion on, hey, maybe
Jesus.
we shouldn't have done this, right? Here's the thing. I'm a Bernie supporter, and I criticize Bernie. We need to stop pretending that his campaign has been perfect. We need to stop pretending that he's called election integrity, because he hasn't. We need to stop pretending all this is true and isn't true. And the fact is that if you're edifying these people, and I spoke to Nico about this earlier, if you're putting politicians here, you've already created a monster. Because what happens when you put AOC is an example. I mean, she's got so much pull and like a celebrity on Twitter and all of this, but what does that create? It makes her be pretty much focused on maintaining that, right? And sort of kind of placating to Republicans or to neoliberals, because she focuses so much on bashing Republicans. And so she does some great things, but that's fine. We need to stop edifying these politicians. We need to hold them accountable. We need to hold their feet to the fire. Bernie Sanders should absolutely be talking about what happened with Tara Reade and Joe Biden. Bernie Sanders should absolutely be talking about election integrity. The fact that he hasn't is hurting him. Bernie Sanders should absolutely not be calling Joe Biden his friend, especially now. Well, he should be going harder against him. He should be talking about the fact that he's not mentally there. He's not going to. He should be talking about how he has these allegations. He's probably not going to touch that. You as a supporter, especially if you're a supporter, need to hold him accountable 100%. If you don't, you're literally putting your own fantasy fandom of a politician over the needs of the working people, and you're not here for this movement.
Well, that whole argument, too, and I wanted to jump back into it, because he says, I don't agree that the platform is meaningless. It's a document that we can hold the Democrats accountable in the future. That's part of the deal, too. And he was talking about what Crystal Ball said when she says, I don't give a shit about the platform, pretty much. I mean, in words. Yeah. I mean, she's like, and I kind of have that Crystal Ball feeling right now. It's like, really, when have the Democrats ever been held accountable? When are they going to stick to anything, that they said they would stick to? They've abandoned workers since the 60s. It's been so down the road. They've been bought off by, Wall Street and bankers. So what are they going to ever do to hold, to stick to the platform that they're just pretending to support? I mean, right now they're about to push forth a candidate in Joe Biden that is against the Green New Deal and is against for Medicare for all. That's the main two issues within the whole platform. Yeah. That's the two main things about the Democrats want.
He's moving left. We can move Joe Biden left.
We're going to move him left. How many times do we hear that?
That's what they're saying.
You could have moved Joe Biden left with a freaking crowbar. It's just not going to happen. And you're not going to do that to any neoliberal establishment Democrat. Yeah. They're just going to tell you one thing and go do another. Somebody said, I think on a super chat today, it's like one guy comes, robs you. Trump comes to the front door and robs you. The other one robs you with a ski mask and runs off, so you never know who it is, because they pretend to be your friends.
That's the Democrats.
They pretend to be the fighter for the working man or the working woman, but they're not. They're there to please their corporate donors and then lie to you about something. They obfuscate like crazy, like they did on the floor. I had to throw my word in there. The Jimmy Dore Show says, and thank you for the super chat contribution. It is always appreciated on the couch. That one right there. Cuomo is current. What does edifying mean, fam? Edifying.
It means putting someone on a pedestal so high, like they're a god or a saint. Like, you're Catholic, right? Like, this is Saint Lazarus. Like they can do no wrong. They are it's like heroism, right? Like you're just putting them up here and they can't be criticized. And unfortunately, we have too many sycophants of all kinds from all across the board. There are Trump sycophants, there are Hillary sycophants, there are Bernie sycophants, there are Tulsi sycophants.
I knew you had to fit the Tulsi sycophants.
I mean, no, we have to be, if we're doing this, we have to be, I can like Tulsi and Bernie as people, but I can be like, you didn't do this right. Oh, you did this. You know what I mean? Like, we have to be able to separate that, at least with what we're doing.
Is that the same thing as sensationalism of sorts?
Yeah.
You know,
Like,
that was the word they
making
used in
them
2016.
a fan, like
Yeah.
being their fan more than you are like as a person that's, you know, holding their feet to the fire.
Yeah. So you're being nice when you say stop edifying them instead of saying stop being so cultish.
Yeah. Well, cultish is such a triggering word to so many people.
It is, but that's why I like you, fam. You can use the nice words for other people. Not me, but for the other people, get the edifying. For me, you're Tulsa. Vote blue strategy got us Trump. It's not going to get us 4 more years of him. Hashtag vote blue. What do you mean?
He's being facetious.
I know he's facetious, sarcastic.
It's facetious.
Man, these big words.
The plutonomy.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a 60-minute show. We want to thank you so much for joining in there. Thank you so much, Jimmy, for joining the live stream today.
Did
Everybody's
you read all of them?
loving you. I think so. We want to thank Josh Fox for joining the show as well too. Go Josh Fox.
Thank you, Josh.
And his great comments towards Russian asset Jill Stein. We got a lot of stuff going on this week. We're supposed to have Shahid Buttar. We're going to talk about the Patriot Act.
Patriot Act. Yeah.
That got just squeezed right through. Like I said, we've been talking about some of the economics.
Mm-hmm.
We've been talking about the pandemic. We've been, we haven't got to the civil liberties part right now because there's a lot of
That's your
shitty
favorite
shit going
part.
on right now. Think about it. Somebody gets arrested. Now they can't get bailed out because there are no courts open to get them bailed out. Now we have people staying longer than they're supposed to stay. So now we hear there's talks from the Congress going, to behind people's backs to saying that they're going to go to Supreme Court to see if they can extend the laws to keep these people jailed longer.
And
so I mean,
habeas corpus was already pretty much, pushed to almost nothing, and now it's completely gone because of the coronavirus. They're literally using that excuse because of the coronavirus. You're just not going to have any rights at all.
Think about a lot of the people who can get arrested and fined. They want to go out and work because, they're going to be in trouble. Anybody who makes from that $60,000 to $120,000 range. Now, last time I made that, I didn't have a house, but I could just imagine a husband who was in my situation that has 2 kids, a house to take care of. Money's tight. And now you really cut that money right now. You can't get them the money that they deserve because unemployment, it does work for some with the $600 on top, but some you take out that magic calculator and you're going to fall short. $500-$600 a paycheck. That's going to be $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
You're going to get behind. Say business opens up, it's slow getting out of the gate. Next thing you know, they come in and get your house. So to look at this situation, and it's like one of the junior congressmen said yesterday, only 2 people, fam, on the floor of the House, AOC being one of them, and another junior congressman mentioned the Wall Street money and the bailout money. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to get into what now because I have a show and everything ready for that. We'll talk about that. The little secret, he is from Maine. But, this was also like the Patriot Act, too, as well, fam. 24 hours, they had to read 900 pages to pass a bill. That's what they did with the CARE Act, and we're going to get screwed at the end of the day.
They didn't read it, fam.
No. So, for Pasta Jardula,
Fiorella.
Johnny, do you want to show helicopters? Johnny Sue on the 1s and 2s.
Come out. See you tomorrow.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.